Welcome everybody to Lunch Break with the Rabbi. Welcome back to another week. Today we're going to continue our discussions of different rationales and reasons and customs in Judaism. And today we're going to talk about the very well-known concept that exists within Judaism, which is, why do we believe that Jews cannot convert out of Judaism? We know, and we mention it many times, and as we famous saying, a Jew is a Jew is a Jew. Many things in this world, people believe that even though they were born with it, they can, so to speak, opt out. That there's, so to speak, an opt-out option in what they can do and how they were born and how they go about things. One of the things that Judaism tells us is that there's no opt-out option. The moment you're born a Jew, that's it. You're born a Jew, you die a Jew. That's the way you're going to be forever. Why is it that we find that in Judaism there is no opt-out option? This goes back, and we can see it even clearer when we look in the 15th century, when at the beginning of the late 14th century, many Jews in Spain converted to Christianity out of fear of their life. And then they were Christians on the outside and Jews on the inside. And they were called conversos. Some used to call them Marranos. That's what the Spanish used to call them, which means pigs. We call them conversos, Jews who, because of that fear of their life, and they weren't able to get out of Spain quick enough, they therefore observed Judaism only in the cellar, only in hidden spaces, and so on. And what happened was many of those Jews immigrated afterwards in subsequent years to North Africa and desired then to embrace Judaism. And the question to many rabbis at the time were, how do we treat these Jews? How do we go about talking about these Jews? What do they have to convert? What is their status? And the rabbis at the time, as they looked at the situation, they came to the consensus that these Jews are Jews and there's no conversion necessary. That the moment a Jew who is born a Jew, he automatically is under the oath that they accepted on Mount Sinai to observe Judaism. Just because their lack of observance has not been at par does not diminish in the fact and the quality of they are a Jew. Why is that? As we're going to get to in a moment. Some want to say cynically, that the reason why Judaism doesn't allow an opt-out option is because Judaism, being that we're a dwindling bunch, so therefore we want to make sure our numbers stay put. Well, that is the biggest fallacy, as you can see, that if Judaism was interested in the numbers, number one, Judaism only allows a person who is Jewish to be recognized as a Jew if they come from matrilineal descent. Every other religion, whether it's Christianity or Muslims, also goes by patrilineal descent. Judaism is only by matrilineal descent. If Judaism was interested in numbers, they would say, regardless of what parent is Jewish, you should be Jewish. But that's not what Judaism says. Number two, Judaism does not pursue converts, as many religions do. They don't proselytize. On the contrary, should a person want to become Jewish, at first he is discouraged, and only when we see that he is really interested in observing Judaism, only then do we allow him to convert. And number three, Judaism does not claim that the only way to heaven is by being a Jew. There are many ways. Judaism says if you want to be a Christian, be a Christian. You want to be a Muslim, be a Muslim. You want to be an atheist, be an atheist. You should believe in God. It's a very good, but Judaism does not proselytize or say that if you're not Jewish, you're all doom and gloom. And number four, Judaism does not make any of these claims to say that you need to be A, B, or C, or D. Judaism says, whatever religion you are, practice it, be happy, and go on. If you want to embrace Judaism, that's wonderful, but there's a whole set of guidelines that you have to embrace. That's the 613 commandments. A non-Jew can observe the 7 Noahide laws and be a wonderful non-Jew, a righteous Gentile, and have a place in the world to come and all the wonderful things. So what is it? Why is it that Judaism doesn't have this opt-out option? There was once an actor by the name of Joshua Malina who once said the following. He said, the statement I am Jewish is no different than the statement that I am. They say a story, and I'm sure you heard me say the story more than once, about this fellow who heard that the church was offering $10,000 for every person that converts. And this Jew was stuck in hard times. He said, you know what, listen, if I can make some $10,000, a quick $10,000, let me go to the church, I'll convert. He comes into the church, the priest tells him, listen here, you know that being a Jew, you're not allowed to have any chicken on Friday night. He says, of course, Father, I accept fully. And he gets his $10,000 and he goes home and he celebrates. And he, of course, goes out and buys a beautiful Shabbos meal that he's able to celebrate with his wife that Friday night, that they have some money. But of course, the priest was very worrisome about this individual, so he said he's going to go spy on him. And he comes Friday night, the priest is watching outside the window of the new Jewish fellow's home, and he sees the fellow Moshe takes out a bottle of wine, and he takes out some chicken, and he's enjoying a wonderful Shabbos meal. The priest walks inside, slams the door down, and says, "Caught you, you lied to me." He says, "Rabbi," he says, "Priest, what did I do? Father, what did I do wrong?" He says, "You told me you're not going to have any chicken." He says, "Father, where do you see chicken?" He says, "What's that sitting on the table? It has legs, it has wings, it has everything." He says, "Listen, Father, I have to confess that when you converted me and you took that holy water and you sprinkled it on me, you said, you're no longer a Jew, you're now a Christian, I stole some of the water. And I took a little bit of the water and I sprinkled it on the chicken and I said, you're no longer a chicken, you're now a fish." The priest looked at him and says, "What are you talking about?" To which the Jew responded and he said, "The same way I can't make the chicken a fish, you can't make a Jew a Christian." A Jew always stays a Jew. Why is that? Because people that think that the definition of a Jew is by rituals, by what we observe, by the beliefs that we have, then of course, if I stop doing the rituals, if I stop doing the observances, if I don't have the belief, then I'm not Jewish. But that's not what Judaism is. Like this actor, like we just said, and what Melina said, the being a Jew is not an incident or supplementary to who we are. It's who I am. It's my DNA. It's my actual makeup. I'm not Jewish because I pray. I'm not Jewish because I daven. I'm not Jewish because I learn. I'm not Jewish because of what I believe. I'm Jewish because the moment I am born, I was given a spiritual DNA, which makes me Jewish. That's who I am. The same way I exist, that's the same way I'm Jewish. As we find, as the Talmud puts it, even though a Jew sinned, he is still Jewish. Even though all the Jews have sinned, they still are Jewish. We have choices. Those choices make how much we observe and how many rituals we do, but it doesn't change who we are. A choice cannot escape who my reality is, what my identity is. Same way I cannot opt out of my physical DNA, I can't opt out of my spiritual DNA. God made it that our intrinsic identity is Jewish. What does that mean? Because God gave every single Jew a mission in this world. We have to be a light unto the nations. Every single one of us has a job and a mission collectively that we have to do in changing this world and making it a different place. And because of that, we all have a task that nobody else can do. So because I was born Jewish, because I have that spiritual DNA, there is a certain divine task of making this world a godly place that nobody in the world can do it. And I can't opt out of that mission because that's the reason why I was put here for. So to say I can opt out just because I don't believe or just because I stopped doing a ritual, so who's going to take that place of doing that divine mission? Nobody but myself. So therefore, there's no opt-out option. So that mission that we were given, that concept and existence and that divine godly mission that you have to do is forever up to your task to do, and there's nothing that you can do to opt out of it. And God forbid if we don't do our divine mission, that will remain forever missing. And God does not allow us under our calling to leave that option out. And therefore, the stakes are high. The options that we need to do to be able to concept of taking care of what we need will always be there. You will notice something very interesting. Even a Jew who is very little observant, or maybe no observance whatsoever, now, regardless of what the Jew has done throughout their life, they will always identify, even if they don't call themselves Jewish, but the moment you'll say that means you're not Jewish, they will all of a sudden have that hesitation and they'll never want to do it, regardless of what happened in their life. Because God has intrinsically given within every single Jew a certain soul, a certain specialty, a certain uniqueness that we as Jews can never give up. So to be a Jew is not a matter of having a certain belief or practicing a certain level of rituals. That's why Jews are not a race. Jews are not a religion. It's who we are. Our Jewishness stems from the fact that we were chosen by God to fulfill a particular mission in this world, and that forms the core of who we are. Which brings us to the next question, because if we would have a choice to opt out, think about it. Who are the most persecuted people in the world? The Jews. If we would have an opt-out option, we'll say, you know what, hey, I don't want to be a Jew anymore. Let me opt out of this option. Let's do something else. Let me pick something else to do. Let me pick a different nation that's not being persecuted. But Jews never opted out. Jews never said, okay, I'm not Jewish and therefore I shouldn't be persecuted. Even during the time of the Inquisition that we mentioned before, the Spanish Inquisition, they still observed and did the Jewish practices and beliefs undercover. Why is that? Because Judaism is their identity. Jewish people, regardless of what happened in life, no matter what the circumstances were, they can never take on a different identity. Jews have retained their identity despite the suffering. The phenomena can be attributed to the fact that the Jewish identity is so embedded within the psyche of the individual. It's so part of our soul that for one moment we can't even separate from it. We can't betray who we are. It's like saying I don't exist by saying I'm not Jewish. And therefore, regardless of what the circumstances were in the world, we as Jewish people have always stayed strong to our beliefs and always stayed tall to what we are. By being Jewish, by being proud of who we are, we then come to understand and appreciate our divine mission, bringing it to fruition and accomplishing and being a light unto the nation. Thank you for listening. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Lunch break with the Rabbi at 1 p.m.